Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis, and I'm alongside Tim Thomas today to talk a little bit of Ole Miss basketball. We're 3 games into the season, had a nail-biter Tuesday night against Detroit Mercy, which, Tim, I'm not sure or not, but I think that might be the hottest new show on TNT this fall.
Yeah, it was a game last night. One to be remembered. There was a shot on the rim with a second left. If it would have went in, they would have won it, and it shouldn't have ever got to that point. I guess you say we won. We're 3-0, but I'm kind of disappointed of the way things have happened. But the intensity, the defense, the effort. Just it needs to be ramped up some, and I'm sure Beard will get it there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. This is the difference that I noticed from this year from last year. Is last year there was issues that were developing that it looked systemic. You know, it just looked like Ole Miss couldn't fix it. Whether you had Amari Abram at that point running point guard, you had a true freshman doing that stuff. The outside shots weren't falling, and you really only had one way to win a basketball game. I don't know if that's the problem this year. I think this year is just a team that is learning how to come together and do what Chris Beard wants them to do. And by the end of the year, they're probably going to be 3 or 4 times better than they are right now, but it's just taking a little longer than we thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I believe you're exactly right. They're, like we said, it's 6 portal guys. 2 of them are waiver police held up by the NCAA, which is ridiculous. But we don't need to talk about too much. I get fired up too much about how they just keep dragging kids and don't tell them anything. It's just ridiculous. But you're right. It's a better team. They're a more talented team. They just got to start gelling. And I think they will. I could see some flashes of Jamarian Sharp last night. He had like 8 and 10 rebounds. So he's coming around, had a few alley-oops and had a few short shots. And Juju Murrell showed out last night. He had a really good game, his best so far. He was the leading scorer. And Flanagan had a little trouble getting going. He finally hit some shots later on to hit those key free throws at the end. And Murrell played better. I think he had like 17. He got in foul trouble. That really hurt things. So there's a lot of things that are different. But I still got high hopes for this team, Chris Beard and his great assistant coaches.
You know, one thing that I've noticed in the early part of this season, it looks like Jamin Brakefield is trying to win the SEC championship on every shot. I mean, he looks like he's just a player that needs to let the game come to him. It looks like he's trying too hard. He reminds me of what is his name, Gossamer from Looney Tunes. The love him and squeeze him and call him George. We're just squeezing it. So I think that is what's happening right now with Jamin Brakefield.
Yeah, he's trying too hard. Like you said, he good kid, I think. And you talked about his recruiting, helping recruit him, and really brought some of these good guys in. And he's a team player. He's probably the captain. It's a problem, though, when you're the captain and you can't make a layup, you can't make a shot, and your defense is struggling there too. I just give him advice is pick up his defense and his rebounding, and offense will take care of itself. So I talked to Win Case, one of the assistant coaches there, and he spoke the same thing about Jamin, that he's just trying too hard. So he said he was going to talk to me today. They got to play better for Friday night, or they'll get beat by Sam Houston State. They got to play better, much better.
Yeah, and I honestly, like I said, they're due for an incremental jump. They're anybody that has watched these first 3 games and think they're anywhere near a finished product, that's just incorrect. There's going to be a jump, and I think the Sam Houston game, because it's in the Tad Pad on Friday night, it's the 8:00 game and all of that. I think that there's going to be a little bit of energy surrounding that non-conference game that wouldn't normally be there. Like if this game was being played in the Pavilion, this would be a warning shot for the Ole Miss basketball team. But I think in the Tad Pad, I think they're going to play all right.
Yeah, I think as we well know, we got Chris Beard here. He's had a great record. And if anybody can do it, he can do it. And if he can't do it, maybe nobody can do it. So I got faith in him and his assistants. And these players are very talented. We've looked at them. We've watched their videos. We've looked at their backgrounds and where they came from. It's a culture thing. and Beers pushed it and said it out loud, and some of us hadn't listened real good. So it's going to be a struggle to get some of the wins maybe that we thought maybe a few weeks ago. It might be hard to get some of these guys. They got some, after Sam Houston, they got key games coming up that's going to be a struggle. You got Temple and North Carolina State and Memphis and guys like that they're not going to be a Detroit Mercy. They will not have mercy on us.
But the difference is if Ole Miss can get one or two of those, the excitement level is going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I hope it does. I feel for the team. I feel like they want to play together. You can tell they look at each other like, what can I do? And Jamie especially, he made a 3 last night. And I think he thought he was getting there. Then he missed a few layups and he didn't do very well on defense and the rebounding. Let's talk about rebounding. What happened? What do we got to do about rebounding? Beard has pushed it and talked about it. I know they work on it all week long. Jamari and Sharp did much better on rebounding last night. He did well. So all them other guys have got to pick it up. All these teams are playing 4 to 5 outside point guard type people against Ole Miss, and it's a struggle because Sharp has to guard somebody, or Marshall has to guard somebody. So it's really hard. They're trying to switch off and play positionless basketball, and that's really hard. So they struggle with that. And then the other side, that all the teams are playing zones against them pretty much. So they're all zoned because they're saying, okay, Ole Miss can hit a 3, so we're going to just pack it in and let them prove it to us. And they did a little better last night. I was pleased with that, so that'll help us in the long run. But we got to continue making threes, and Jamari Sharp or Marshall or someone, hopefully Musa Cisse will make a presence soon if we get that call from the waiver police.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest signing other than Alan Flanagan, because we'll talk about him in just a second, but Juju Murray, him from the outside. I mean, whenever he gets good and he's feeling right, man, his stroke is pure, man.
It's beautiful. You see what hits through the nets. Don't even hit the nets. It barely comes out. He's a really good player. I think he'll play more and more. He's the leader, can be the leader. And if Flanagan gets going, Murrell gets going, and we get Brakefield, get him to wake up. I think he's at the doldrums right now. Hopefully he wakes up. Hopefully he really comes around and he can really help this team as a leader and one of the better players. But if he'll get on the defensive end and rebound, it'll really help us all. We need him. And then Jamari Sharp to keep improving, keep working on his offense, and he needs to. He's 7'5", man. He's got a rebound, and he did. He knocked some people over. He was more aggressive. That's the key, being aggressive, showing the effort. There was the issue about free throws. We had 6 free throws in the whole game. How can that be? That means your guys are not aggressive. They're not – sorry about that. The guys are not playing hard. They're not being aggressive. They're not going to get the foul shots. So, and the other team had to go like 18, I believe. So there's a difference in that. So we got to work on some things, but I feel good about it.
Yeah, and as everybody should know, you played for Bob Weltlick, who was a disciple of Bobby Knight. Chris Beard is also a disciple of Bobby Knight. So we can probably expect this game against Sam Houston, some people driving to the hole with authority, right?
I would say that would be the plan. He pushed that last night in his press conference about that didn't have but 6 free throws, and he was wondering like me, how could that be? You play 40 minutes, how can you not have more free throws? And it's a good thing. Flanagan, though, he does drive to the hole, but a lot of times he fades back on his shot, so you're not going to get a foul. And Murrell, a lot of times, his is strictly a pass, and he just goes up with it. So they're going to have to do more of that. If the 3 is covered up, they're going to have to drive to the hole and get the fouls. And I think they will. And Jamari Sharp, he's got to be stronger. He's really tall and really lean, but he's got to work on that. And the key, like you said, Jamie Brakefield, I think he's the key, and I believe he'll come through.
Yeah, and there's a lot of finesse guys on Ole Miss's team, and they do a lot of cute stuff around the basket instead of just taking – I'm thinking that Ole Miss needs a player like their graduate assistant. They need a Murphy Holloway on this team.
Yeah, he was a good one. He wasn't afraid of anybody. That's you're right, exactly right. It would be nice to get Musa Cisse. He's really good, big old strong body inside, and Brandon Murray. If we can get that waiver for him, he's a really super player, athletic guy. Those guys, if we get one of the two, it'd be great to have two. It'd be a totally different ball game, totally different team, totally different outcome, totally different results for how far we can go towards the end of the year if we get those two guys.
And I was really interested to see in the second half, I think for either the first or second time this year, Ole Miss played the lineup that I've been waiting to see. And I think we're going to see this lineup a good bit during the season, especially when Jamarian Sharp needs a break. But it's basically Brakefield and Flanagan and then Marshall with Juju Murray and Matthew Murrell on the field at the same time. It's a small lineup with kind of skillful type wing type players and that you can truly go positionless. I think this is the type stuff we're going to see more and more of, but they do have the really big rim protector as well. I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, he used it a lot the second half. He took Sharp out, like you said. He Marshall, I think he took him out, and he went with Caldwell in there, and they had like about 6'5", 6'8" guys, and all, like you said, positionless, and that's kind of had to play. A lot of these teams don't have big, huge guys either. They don't have a 7-footer, so you have a 6'5" guys. You got to be able to guard. You got to be able to block them out, and I think you're right. They played better that way. They shot better that way. And now they just got to get tougher, take it to the goal more, get some free throws, get the other team in foul trouble. And Murrell, I believe he'll come through. He's shooting better, a lot better. It was good to see that because I know last year and then even earlier this year he was struggling a little bit. So I feel real good about him coming around with Brakefield also.
One thing that's interesting about Matthew Murrell, I think Matthew Murrell, since he has Juju Murray and you can see how good of a shooter Juju is, that Murrell doesn't feel like he has to be the guy so much, and he's kind of loosening up a little bit. And Murrell's game is kind of following, getting better and better and better. So with the addition of somebody else that can carry some of the load, and it's not all on this young man's shoulder, I think the Ole Miss outside shooting is going to be a little bit better. Because all of a sudden you have like Jamin Brakefield and Alan Flanagan who can put them up, who's like the third or fourth options, when last year Brakefield sometime was the second option on the team.
Yeah, that'll help. It's already helped. You can see that with Flanagan. He had like 29 the other night, had 15 before that. And Caldwell hits a couple threes about every game. Caldwell is the guy, the key, him and Kyle Herbert. Caldwell mainly, he's a real good defensive guy. He was the one that was guarding the fella at the end of the game last night that made the difference of that last shot. If it would have went in, it would have been not good. So he is that guy. He does a lot of good things. But you're right. Murrell is that player, and Brakefield needs to come through. You got Flanagan and Juju. He showed what he can do last night. So I feel good about it.
Yeah. Everybody needs to be excited about what's going on. Even though it doesn't look exactly perfect at this point, I think that people need to really honestly enjoy what they're seeing, because what you're seeing is teams that they're just trying to get stuff figured out right now. This isn't a talent problem. This is a trying to get it out problem. Now, Ole Miss needs Brandon Murray and Cisse if they want to be special in a year one, but I think this year could be pretty fun as well. Hey, you're going to the Tad Pad game on Friday, are you not?
Yeah, plan to go. Yes, get my Tad Pad T-shirt.
And so you're going to do the nostalgia. You're going to go back in time. This is where I threw the ball down on Kentucky Center, that type stuff.
Yeah, I had a few highlights, a few splashes, but I saw John Stroud the other day. He does the color for the SEC Network Plus game, and he's going to be there. And Tui was there. So several of the guys that I play with. This is mainly for Rob Evans and his group, though. This particularly night is for him and his teams. And I think they'll probably get us all. We'll probably go down on the floor. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be, but it's a throwback alumni, bunch of old guys that can't play anymore. But it's a good thing for the college. A lot of the kids, I'm sure, have never even seen the Tad Pad. They rode by there and thought it was a spaceship maybe, but it's a really nice place, and I think they've fixed it up the best they could. No TV allowed. They're going to have just radio and throwback uniform. So it should be a cool night. I'm looking forward to it.
This is what they honestly should do, since it's the Rob Evans thing, because Rob Evans was actually the coach whenever I was at Ole Miss the first time before I joined the Navy. And the players need to enter through the student section the way they did. That needs to happen, to where they come down the aisle to the court. And we need to have the streamers, if it's possible. They need to do the streamer thing at the top like they used to do as well. I think both of those, if you're going to do a throwback thing, it needs to look like it did when Ole Miss beat Kentucky in like 97.
I'm not sure. I'll let you get with Keith Carter and take care of that. I'm not sure what you're going to do.
Yeah, Keith actually done it, and he saw it firsthand. So he knows exactly how this is supposed to look.
I would think they're going to do it right. If they're going to try to do this every year, they got to, spice it up, do some marketing type things, and make it look right. So it sounds good to me. I like the idea of anything like that for basketball. I know, as we talked about, football is the breadwinner, the one that brings the money, and there's a lot more fans out there for football. I understand that. But basketball has a chance with Chris Beard and this team to do pretty good this year. And if it's not great this year, I think in the next year or so, things are going to be really good, and Ole Miss will be on the map for basketball.
So they're wearing throwback jerseys. Does that mean they're going to wear the ones that they from the Rob Barnes eras, or are they going back?
I assume so. I don't really know how that. I haven't been involved in any of that. I'm back 40 years ago, guys. I hadn't been aware of that. I hadn't talked to Win Case or any of the guys, but I know they'll do it right, because the whole idea is to go back to that point in time and try to make it real. So the things you're talking about make sense to me.
Yeah, it should be actually pretty cool. But thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tim Thomas, thank you very much for joining us, man. Enjoy and be safe heading over to the game. And I can't wait to talk to you after this to find out what that tad bad game was like.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great thing for Ole Miss basketball to get the fans involved and get a little we need a little help to get things started off. Beard is the real thing. Everybody's kind of excited. Oxford excited. Even the SEC are all excited about Beard. So if we can put some wins together and some of these big games coming up, get some big W's, like you said, this team will come around. They'll gain confidence, and I think we'll do good. Hopefully have a good year this year. I don't want to go back on my NCAA possible dance, but I'm struggling a little bit after these first 3 games. But I'm like you. I got faith in Beard. He's done it everywhere else. Why not do it here? So I'm going to have faith in him. He's got great coaches, great talent on this team. So I think it's going to take a while, but they're going to mesh it together, and we're going to have a great team before this year's over.
Yeah, the next 2 or 3 weeks should probably give us the answer to the question.
Yeah, true. That will help. When you go play Temple at Philadelphia, and you got NC State here, and you got Memphis here, that's going to be a big tale of where we're headed. So hopefully we'll get our confidence back, and Breakville start playing well, and all the other guys, and things will go well.
All right, Tim. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and be safe heading over to Oxford, man.
All right, thank you. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.